At this time, we call the Tuesday, May 17th, 2022 Board of Supervisors to order. Larry McDevitt, Mike Steinis, and myself, Jack Lawyer, are county supervisors. We have Lisa Smith and Bjorn Beck from the auditor's office and Luann Goki, our administrative assistant. And seated before us is Josh Bolt, city manager of Macokota. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Josh.
You're all moved in?
Heads are all put together.
Boxes all over the place.
Yeah, all the above.
Right.
So let you take over.
Yeah, what's before you, what it looks like the fourth item down on your agenda is a joint public service agreement 28E between the city of Macokota, Jackson County Conservation, and the title of the agreement is allowing city of Macokota, city manager, me, authorization to file application towards Destination Iowa. More financial impact in this is related to the contingencies, as we've discussed, on if there's any cost overruns on the project that would exceed, and those would be shared by Jackson County and Jackson County Conservation. We discussed the project total being $2.254 million and labeling contingencies at 5%, and your hypothetical contingency, if it went over on that 5, your share would be about 56. For what you get at Prairie Creek, it's probably a high value investment for the county and for the Conservation Board. This agreement does not go into fine detail on the actual numbers and instead relies on percentages to label in the agreement, and that discusses the city being responsible for the local commitment share of the Destination Iowa grant to the tune of 10% of our SRF loan that we've discussed, and for purposes of the Destination Iowa grant being the 60% part. So this has been discussed with Lisa and the county attorney, had some review on this, and Nathan Jones also put eyes on this agreement. The city did sign it last night at our council meeting, or approved it. And by the end of the week, we should be able to submit the application. I did finish writing it yesterday, about 90% is complete. It just lacks attachments, or a couple attachments, signatures, and those things. But it's in review right now through some of our partners. I did proofread it yesterday, and JCA had some input late last night on what should be more consistent throughout. So I'm looking forward to hearing some of those suggestions. And I'll be out of town Wednesday with Mark Lyon. And I assume by Thursday or Friday, we'll be ready to submit this. And I don't know when we'll hear from Destination Iowa on a decision, but very pleased that we're in on the first week of review, and hopefully they view our application as advantageous for the area. I don't have anything I could share it, but I'd rather have a finished product for you to review before you give me the green light before Friday. So once we get signatures and attachments together, I can give you a final product. I just didn't want to get too far ahead of myself without having a few reviewers put eyes on it first.
So did you get a contact? Did you get in contact with Marla Quinn?
I did.
Okay, because she was at the groundbreaking yesterday for the Together We Build. She wrote a lot of grants for that.
Yeah.
And so I asked her if she'd heard from you yet, and she said that she hadn't, but she was going to. You were on the top of her list.
At 4:15 or so yesterday, I finished up and sent it off to her, and she acknowledged receipt of it. And
Great.
according to her, today is going to be at least part of the day going through it and those things. So
Good.
Well, I certainly think we had a good conversation, or group conversation last week,
Yeah, I
in a
did.
special session, with all the partners, or the players anyway.
Right.
And again, like you mentioned, Josh, I think there's minimal risk and high value to a lot of this. There's many variables still involved, I suspect that when your council approved it, that also your city attorney had reviewed it.
our city attorney doesn't step into these things unless we ask them to, actually. So we don't have the luxury of having a county attorney. We pay by the hour, so.
Well, I know our county attorney had read it, and she made some couple minimal
right,
changes that were very minimal, and
yeah.
I thought you did a very nice job
Thank
of
you.
writing that up, so it's
Well, Lisa pointed me towards the South Main Street Bridge contractor
Mhm,
agreement, so
copy and paste.
I didn't reinvent the wheel here, so.
I heard in the radio this morning that's gonna start soon.
The South Main, yeah,
Yeah.
June 2nd.
That's great.
Was hoping with any luck that concrete beams would be further delayed so that Platt Street could finish. And then we can get to the bridge.
We'll
but-
survive, but them guys are pretty good to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we are awarded this opportunity, we have 45 days as local groups to re-sign agreements that specifically get into the funding amounts that they're gonna award and those things. So this has many variables, but those variables if awarded should be defined
Sure,
if we get the award.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you looking for action? I would make a motion to, where are you? You're fourth in line.
Yeah,
I would make a motion that we move forward with the Destination Iowa grant
application,
application.
I would say.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? We certainly appreciate your efforts
Thank you.
and
Yeah.
we know it's a tremendous amount of work, but the outcome could be great.
Yeah, there's,
No, and I appreciate the willing to work back and forth with city and county and that having that good relationship. It
Invaluable.
works a lot easier.
Yeah, it certainly does. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, I got it. Yeah. So
Good.
everything should be in place here.
Good. Glad to hear that.
I'm gonna leave this with you. Our mayor hasn't signed it yet, but you can get in touch with me later. I'll take it and give it to mayor and
All right,
get over to Nathan.
okay, good.
Good meeting.
You too.
Thanks, Josh. Have a good day.
You too.
Laura Karstens is.
Oh, she's zooming. Okay. This time we'll be joined by Laura Karstens.
I think Laura should be there. right?
Years.
She muted. Laura, are you on? Okay,
That is a no.
Is she muted? I just sent a direction.
She's not muted.
She's not muted.
She's
Okay.
unmuted. She unmuted herself or whoever this phone number is.
Yeah, yeah.
Laura, can you hear us? Okay.
Oh. Can we try to call that number? or-
Well, I would think
If
the
that's her
number.
number.
Yeah,
Huh?
If that's her.
well, yeah, I don't know either. Was she gonna call, or join by phone, or was she?
No, she's gonna join the Zoom meeting. She's in the meeting. We just can't hear her.
Is she the phone number that's up there?
8855 is her phone number.
So if she does not have a microphone, but she unmuted, does that mean she doesn't have a microphone?
If she should be on a cell phone.
You said if you're on a phone, she could just speak.
She says she can hear us.
The only other way would be to call that phone and we could hear her on speaker. but-
Laura, if you can hear us, why don't you hang up and we will call you?
Got the number. Yep,
Okay.
you gone.
So 563. 557. 8855.
Hello, Laura. This is the Jackson County Board of Supervisors, Jack, Willie, and Larry and Mike. And we couldn't hear you, so we thought we'd try this. So you're on speak.
Yeah, great. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, you're on speakerphone, so everybody can hear what you're saying.
Okay, wonderful. I could hear you. I listened to Josh Brett and everything. Oh dear, I don't know why it didn't work. Okay, well, anyway, thank you so much for considering the proclamation. The national theme this year celebrates really sort of the ordinary person who takes care of their place and renovates their home or business or whatever it might be, a lot of times without any recognition and just because it's something that they love to do. And these little changes, these little projects, and sometimes big projects, really can start to make the difference in how a community or a county really views its past. So we're happy to celebrate Historic Preservation Month theme, people saving places, and we'd very much like you to go ahead and make that proclamation for us today. Thank you.
Okay, I'll read the proclamation. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth and sustainability, development, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. And whereas Jackson County Historic Preservation Commission celebrates the national theme of peoples saving places, place savers who pour their time, energy, and resources into protecting places that they care about, often without recognition, in ways big and small, and inspiring others to do the same to better educate and involve the Jackson County community in its history and historic preservation. Now therefore be it I, John J. Willie, Chairman of the Jackson County Board of Supervisors of Jackson County, Iowa, do hereby proclaim May 2022 as Historic Preservation Month and call upon the people of Jackson County, Iowa to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing and participating in this special observance. In witness thereof, I do hereto subscribe my name to be affixed the 17th day of May 2022. So what is the pleasure of the board?
I'd make a motion to approve the proclamation.
I would second with the chair signing.
We have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation and authorize the chair to sign. Any further discussion?
Now, I know that a lot of good things happen with the Historical Society, and it's good to see buildings saved and history.
Yeah.
I think that's important, so.
They certainly work hard. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Is there anything else, Laura, that you wanted to say?
Yes, thank you and have a good day.
You also.
Thanks.
Bye.
Like,
Bye-bye.
Okay. Lisa,
What did you have, some?
Do we skip from the top or where are we
we're
gonna
just all over the place.
huh?
We're
Are we
kind
gonna
of all
start
over
at
the
the
place.
top or no? I don't care, it doesn't matter. to me.
well, I think the top item on our agenda today, we still need to get additional information
Yeah.
for. So I think we will just hold on to that till later in the meeting.
Okay,
And so Lisa has a chance to go over and get the
And we can
material
take it,
that we
right?
need to
Yep.
look at.
okay,
So.
perfect.
Okay, so would you like me to continue or?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So this morning I need a motion to approve the minutes of the May 10th, 2022 board proceedings as written by Auditor Smith and authorize publication in the official newspapers.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve publication of the minutes of the previous meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Motion needed to accept and place on file the Veterans Affairs Commission meeting minutes for the April 20th, 2022 meeting. But it does lack, these meeting minutes do lack signatures due to a lack of quorum. So these minutes were not approved, but I told Tony that I still wanted them presented and he will, when he gets a quorum, they will be signed. So what you're seeing is an unsigned minutes, but.
So can we approve an unsigned minutes?
Well, I
Or
asked-
do we wait?
Well, it's
I
up to
think we
you.
wait till
I
they're
think we'll
signed.
wait till we get there.
Okay, so we'll
I
basically,
would make a motion to table that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table the Veterans Affairs approval of their minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
I also need a motion to approve resolution number 894-05-17-2022. Setting a rate of 55 cents per mile and the sheriff's office be authorized to charge the maximum mileage rate allowed by the IRS for serving official newspapers. The reason that I'm asking for a resolution today, I know that we passed it by motion last week, but when I reviewed this change with Sarah, she felt that a resolution needed to be done instead of a motion because
I
we had done
agree.
it previously. So
Mhm.
the way that I put the resolution is that you are approving the resolution today, but because of the motion from last week, it's actually effective last Tuesday. So
Okay.
I know that's gonna sound kind of funny, but just for clarification, so the resolution today, which basically just kind of clarifies the motion from last week.
I'm fine with either or, as long as their legal ramifications allow us to put it in effect last week. If that's the
And
case.
that's why you'll see that I had the resolution specific to last Tuesday, not today.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the resolution.
I would second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution number 894-05-17-2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
And you know that every year, and I have the plan with me if you'd like to see it, but I also need a motion to approve and authorize the chair's signature on the certificate of cost allocation plan for fiscal year 2021 with cost advisory services to provide consulting service to recoup federal monies. Actually, in last week's claim period, we did pay the fee that they charged us for their services. It looks to me like we're gonna get just a hair over $21,000 to recoup from the federal government. So that plan is done. I just need a signature from the chair to forward on to Jeff. And kind of to put this behind us because of COVID, like I said, they don't come here anymore, but they have everything. We end up emailing them everything. You probably have maybe even talked to them, he and his assistant when we're in Des Moines at ISAC. So I just need a motion to approve.
I'd make a motion to approve the certification of cost allocation and the chair's sign.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
I also need a motion to approve invoices for $5,304 to Rick Widener AIA, $10,107.48 to Midwest Construction Consultants, $19,000 to Bill Bruce Builders, and $16,045.50 to Kraus Plumbing and Heating for a total of $50,456.98 and authorize the chair's signature on the project cost recap for the law enforcement center. That was that big folded in half 11 by 17 paper that I wanted you to see how all of these costs for the law enforcement center, how that all kind of shakes out. So just kind of wanted you to know where we're at and how things are going. This way, John doesn't have to zoom in today. He didn't need to be here. I told him that I would present this to you. So I just need a motion to approve, and then they will be paid in next week's claims.
Okay, motion to approve.
I think it's really a good scenario when he gives us this breakdown, like he gives us every
Yeah,
time he gives
yeah.
sends us a bill. And we know where we're at and the groundwork looks good out there and at least we're moving forward to it.
I actually spent a little bit of time last week with John. He was here with the dirt work being done. He had to be on site. We're trying to get all of our permits and all of our, the permitting process right now. We're trying to deal with the state, trying to get a stormwater.
Well, you got the
Stormwater
DNR, you got the
Yes.
water control and yeah, I mean, I get it.
So we spent a lot of times talking, and he was here, like I said, last week. We went through quite a few things. And we've got the kind of the schedule down to make sure that our contractors that are doing work for us for the law enforcement center, that they're being paid in a timely manner. We don't want anybody mad. So, yeah.
I would second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
That's all that I have for the board today.
Okay. Were you wishing to address the board?
I just wanted to ask some questions. Yeah.
Come on up,
Come
Rick.
on up and you can ask your questions
Okay.
and we'll
Joe, you
try,
could come with for support.
we'll try to have answers.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. I was just wondering,
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh,
We have
sorry.
11 minutes.
my name is Rick Fleming, my wife Joan Fleming. I would like to know what Justin Alden is planning on doing with his property north of mine in the Cheney subdivision.
I have no idea.
So that is not annexed into the city, correct?
No,
No. And is he moving dirt or something up there?
no, he just resurveyed it all over into lots, and I didn't know what his plan was, and I was wondering if he had any
So.
discussion with you people.
I guess we haven't seen any permits or he hasn't applied for any permits that I've seen to do anything.
And the zoning administrator hasn't talked anything about it.
I mean, I know we had zoning is a little behind, but I don't know that.
But didn't he rezone it? It was agriculture, and then he rezoned it to R1.
You mean right?
There's
in-
something went on.
North of my property, which is still in the Cheney subdivision,
Yeah.
it's before the Dressler subdivision.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's go back a little bit. Couple of things, and I know Rick, I talked to Rick yesterday and his wife. So when it was the Schultes that had it, they had some issues as far as where the property lines were at in relation to where the house and the garage and everything. So they did resurvey it. And I think at that time, then they did lot it out. That was brought before the board for approval. So if you kind of are remembering something, it was done through that process.
So if I remember right, it went from 5 lots to 8, maybe?
Yes,
Is that?
no, it was one lot at one time, one big
But
lot.
but didn't Schultes have it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I thought I seen a.
Greg Schulte only did what he wanted to do down below.
Yeah,
And then they told me they were selling it, but they wouldn't tell me who they were selling it to. And then when we went to Florida and came back, it's all subdivided all the way back to,
But it's still one big lot.
no,
Justin, that's all that, as far as the county is concerned, it still is one big lot.
no, there's stakes there and there's 8 lots. So,
I guess he hasn't received approval for either a subdivision name or a parcel letter. So it would be curious to me because I would have to give that to them.
well, it has to go through zoning first, correct? Am I wrong?
Well, in that situation, if he's got it into 8 lots, that would be considered a
A major,
subdivision.
major
And
subdivision.
then, he would have,
So have you seen any of this plotted out or anything?
yeah,
I
you
have.
can see the stakes are
I
there.
get the stakes.
Yeah, they're
Do you
good.
have measurements as far as the lot? Okay, so to
Is there a
me,
paper copy of that?
What's that?
Is there a paper copy of it?
Well, I don't know. I just
Okay.
seen the stakes when I came home from Florida. I
So should we check
I've
with
been
Lori?
gone.
I haven't given, and the word is
So-
not
so you're
permission,
on
but
this.
I have not given them a subdivision name or a parcel letter. They have to get that through me, and I have not given that to them. So if there's something being done, they're doing it after the fact for me. Usually I know before when things are getting done, because the surveyor has contacted me, I give them a parcel letter, we make sure that it's either a minor or a major subdivision. You know, there's a few things that go on. So I'm not really sure who is doing the surveying work. They haven't spoke to me. And I have to approve the subdivision. So if all of a sudden they come up with, a subdivision on a hill, that's the name of it, I may not approve that. So to my knowledge, I have not been contacted yet.
It's already been water tested, I know that. They've tested it for water
Well,
samples.
I guess I would say, Rick, just the area itself is fully developed almost, and it's all residential lots.
I know, but that was agriculture at one time, not residential.
Well, a lot of it was agricultural.
No. This was always agriculture with Greg Schulte's when they owned it.
I hear you.
And it,
The
so it has
point
to be
is, there's a
switched
lot of
over.
places that are zoned agricultural that are now residential. So we change that, we reclassify it when it's residential.
Okay,
If
but
it's in a residential, if it's surrounded by residential homes, it makes sense to be it residential to me. That's.
it must have just got switched to our, because it's always been agriculture. It hasn't been residential before.
I can't tell you if it got switched or if it.
Well, then how can it be surveyed if it hasn't been switched over? That's what I'd like to know.
Well, she's gonna bring it up on the screen for us so we can see it.
Anybody can survey a property. I mean,
He's surveying it into lots to change it over to residential. And that's what I want to know, if it's going to be residential or agriculture. Because I heard that through the grapevine that he was going to put up some storage sheds there. That's what I heard.
It's under my river.
So you're in the
Just
city
look up
limits?
there. I mean, it's right
It's
next
under
to
Muddy River.
What's that?
Are you in the city limits? Or
No,
in
we're not
county?
in the city limits.
Okay.
No,
We're in the county.
He's right next to the.
We want to pick the 476,004, second one. So see, that's just considered lot 4 Schulte. So that's what we're talking about.
Right there, yeah.
So this is what we're talking about.
I'm sorry.
I mean, if you guys want to go over and look at it, you sure, well, you live over there,
I
Mike,
live
you
over
just
there.
should go up and look at it.
So-
There's 8 lots in there, right there, in that big area.
So
What's it
so it
zoned?
was surveyed. Okay, hang on.
It's still it's zoned residential, yeah.
It is zoned R1.
It is now. It wasn't before,
How long ago was it changed?
when they switched, when they bought it.
Okay,
I think.
No, that can't be.
Well, then how did,
The only reason that I can say that can't be.
I was always in consumption that it was agriculture.
Do you know that for a fact, or
What?
that it was agriculture? Did you?
That's what Schulte always said it was.
Now, wait a minute,
Okay,
we
so-
might be confusing this between what it's zoned and what it's classed. So just because you can have it zoned one way and classed another. So this may very well. It is classed residential. It's classed residential. It is zoned R1. Now, the only reason that I know is that we have spent a considerable amount of time looking through all of the ordinances since 1979. And we spent. Measure,
Go ahead, just measure the length of that way.
it's 3.61 acres.
Are those big enough lots?
And I will say that I'm aware that they had an access issue.
I was always told by the Schultes that the reason, and they came before you guys a long time ago. I was at the meeting back here. And this was before Science was on it. But they wanted to subdivide that into lots then, and you guys said they couldn't, they'd have to put in their own road.
yeah, they went to
To the
the,
blue.
Because they can't use that gravel road there as
They're a
access
little
to.
long. Yeah.
Clear as I was just
True.
like this.
No, you gotta go from,
So this is,
So who does that road belong to? Is that part of the other lot?
That's the other, that's subdivision, that's Dressler.
That 400th Street right there is part of Dressler's.
300 Forest Drive. Dressler subdivision.
those streets are not owned by the county. Those are private subdivision roads.
Okay.
Was there any entrance permits issued? Like that
What's that?
was there any entrance permits issued by the, no?
Not that I know of. I mean, like I said, we just got back a week ago from being down south.
So the
Any
road on the
driveways
left,
that
where is a county road that touches it?
395th is right,
Right there,
right, goes across the tracks, you know.
that's the county road. Well, he has done other things in Dressler subdivision that he's got away with that aren't legal at all. I mean, he built a building. I don't know if you can move that, but there's a blue building over there. Keep going north.
For the conservation shed.
That's not even 35 feet back from the roadway, and they got built. Right there. That building, and he's got another building on it. I mean, I don't care if people do things, let's do it by the law. And then there's houses down in my subdivision that, down along the river, that got. Just let them do what they want to do. They're not 35 feet back from the road. I built a house for my nephew. Clint Nichols, about 5 years ago. I came over here and I was told I had to be 35 feet back from the road to start the house and so many feet off the property line. And the other people get away with murder. And I just want to make sure that everything is legal here when he does stuff. You know, I don't want something done that makes my property value go down, because I have a nice looking house over there, and so does Dr. Anderson, because he was the one that told me about it. And wanted me to come over and see what was going on with it.
So if it's in the county, correct me, Jack, if I'm wrong, it's in the county, the setbacks have to be abided by unless it's in a subdivision, is that correct? And if there was a variance place, it would have had to come to the county zoning board. So if,
And there's
unless they give them houses down by the river or Mr. Alden permission to build that building, I guess I don't know that for sure.
I know there's one law in the books and for the city in a way, like on Grove Street, I had a couple lots over there. And you can, they would give a variance and you can line up with the other houses. So yours wasn't way back from the thing.
Well, I had to get variance when I built my house over in the Cheney subdivision, which is right here. And that was in '93, I mean. And I had to come over and do it by the book and everything, but. I just want people to, I want this checked out is what I want to know.
Does
we
it
can
look
talk
like
to the
he's-
zoning administrator and see if there's been any action or any request, or if there's any information in the file that prior to her arriving, that somebody made some requests. We don't know.
Yeah, well, I just can't understand why he would go and try to subdivide it all up and not ask permission if it's legal to do it in the first place.
Yeah, well, that should have been his
I
first
can
step.
visit with Lori. too.
And that wasn't done, I don't think.
Well, Lisa will,
And in order him to divide that up and have it changed to 8 lots, he has to go through the process.
Yes, he
There's no-
does.
Yeah,
there's no
but he
way
did
around
it though, Mike. I mean, you could drive up there and look, you can see all the stakes there.
but it hasn't been
Just-
approved yet, so
Yeah,
we can't
just
sell
because the
any
stakes are
lots.
there doesn't mean it's done.
Well, I know, but why would he do it ahead of time, not knowing if he could do it? I mean, he's spending a lot of money there. Surveying isn't cheap.
Actually, we can't answer that.
Well,
But we do have a
that's
new-
what I'm here for.
We do have a new zoning administrator who has lots of experience in that area, and we'll have Lisa, we'll talk to Lori and see what she can find out, and we will get back in touch with you and let you know what we find out.
That sounds good.
Have you visited with her? Okay, wait.
I mean, I know everybody.
Okay. Yeah.
So we will see what we can find out for you.
Okay, all right.
Does it
I'll
look
visit
like-
with her.
Yeah, that's
Rick,
fine.
Rick, does it look like he might have surveyed off a road to go in there too or not?
Well,
It's hard to tell.
I'm not a farmer, but that's always been put into rye. And Mike, now I'm gonna get up here so I can point it. Okay, I have a tree line. Let's see where we at, right here. You can see the trees.
Yep.
Okay. From here over, I'd say about 50 feet it is, it's grass, it's not rye. And then from there over, it's rye. You can look at it yourself if you guys want to, or if you want to go up there and drive and see it. You can see it as perfect as can be now.
But it's funny, why would you put in a field like this of someone, you know, I mean, that's just, it was just kind
You
of
know,
funny.
it's only rye. It's like from my tree line over to 50 feet is grass and then, because that always used to be rye and it's not this year. So,
So Rick, if them lots were. in
so I
there-
was thinking he's gonna put a road in here is what I was.
Okay. So he can't come off of 304th, get permits to put driveways in there?
Okay,
Like
from
this?
here, no, because that's not in the subdivision. This is Cheney subdivision from this blue line this way. This was owned by Clyde and Irma Cheney before,
Okay, so what stops him from getting driveways put in from that road?
because from here,
Private property.
you guys denied the Schulte boys from doing it, because they wouldn't let them come in from here, because that's a different subdivision.
They have to write their permanent
It's a-
entrance.
Okay, that was before me then, but yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
it's-
logic tells you to come in from that side, there's a road there.
Right,
But they
So
would
would that
have to,
subdivision have to approve it?
they would have to sell them an easement to use that.
yeah, there has to be an easement. See, so he has to come in from here.
Well, he certainly
The
can
county
use the road. That's a public road.
You know.
But it's a subdivision road, so maybe there's,
No, it's a private road.
Okay, it's a private road, but everybody uses it.
Where, yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that all plays out. But I think they would
Well,
want an easement. to use
Actually,
it.
he has to come in from here, but
I don't think that's feasible.
I mean, you guys can go over and look at it if you want. I mean, I can see it as plain as can be from my place, that from my tree line out 50 feet, and that's where the field starts, so.
So it's
Something's not
definitely
there.
lots and not,
Hmm?
not, it's definitely lots and not staking out for a building of some sort.
Well, it just says lot.
Because it's
4,
right along
5.
my
Oh,
property.
it does say lot 4, lot 5.
Yeah, on the stakes,
well, we will in haste find out from our zoning
right.
Mhm.
and see what's going on. If Lisa doesn't know it, and she's gotta be the first
haven't
one to have
been-
information.
Talk to about that by any surveyor.
We will be in touch and let you know.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Just like I said, I'll come home and I'll send you see stakes and everything, and I mean, at one point, you know, with.
I could see lot 4 because what he has right there is lot 4, but anything above lot 4 would be a concern of mine.
Mhm.
We'll be in touch.
All right, well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Luann, are you ready?
Mhm. Good morning.
Morning.
Calendar for this week. The 2:00 Mississippi Valley Workforce Meeting that for Muscatine that you have in your calendars was canceled. Maybe Jack or I got that from the emails, but it has been canceled. At 6:00 tonight, it's a conservation board meeting. I think they start at Hurstville and then you tour a couple of different places, right, Larry? Okay. 7:00 tonight is the Jackson County Board of Health meeting. It'll be downstairs in the community room. There will be no Zoom available because of the network work that Bjorn is doing. Wednesday, May 18th at 4, well, that should be PM, not AM, is ECIA Executive and Council and ECDC meetings in Dubuque for Jack. And at 5:30 that afternoon is the Jackson County Area Tourism Association Annual Meeting. If any of you signed up for that. Thursday, May 19th at 9 AM is the Housing Trust Fund meeting by Zoom only for Mike. At noon is the Bellevue Leadership Team meeting for Mike. I'm not sure how they're doing that at the Zoom meeting or not. At 1:30 that afternoon is an outdoor recreation economy webinar from the Iowa Economic Development Council. That's a Zoom meeting for any of you that want to attend that. And at 6:30 Thursday night is Limestone Bluffs RC&D. That's also a Zoom only meeting for Jack. Monday, May 23rd at from 9 a.m. to noon is the Early Childhood Iowa Spring Fling in Clinton for Jack, but I think any of you can go that want to. At 4 o'clock that afternoon is the Early Childhood Iowa Council meeting in DeWitt for Jack. And at 5 o'clock that afternoon, tentatively, I have done a Mississippi Workforce meeting also for Jack. I'm still trying to get that one confirmed. Our next regular meeting will be on Tuesday, May 24th at 9 a.m.
Okay,
Right? Business I have today, I'm looking for a motion to reappoint Tim is it Kameyer, to the Zoning and Planning Commission with a term that would expire April 16th, 2027.
Motion to approve.
second,
A motion and a second to reappoint Tim Meyer to the zoning commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Motion carried.
That's all I had.
Okay. Well, we'll recess at this time. So Lisa, you can maybe go over and get the information that we need to look at for our first item on the agenda today. At this time, we'll reconvene the meeting and first item on our business after we come back into session is to table item 1 from today's meeting, which was the possible action to award bids on the Pearson Hall reroofing project. There are some additional questions that we have to research and get some answers for before we can take action on that.
I would make that motion or table it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Now we move to Becky Chapin, our Human Resource Administrator.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So first thing on my agenda today is to let you know that after about 1.5 years of serving Jackson County, the county engineer David Dreyer has tendered his resignation. He has accepted another job offer and will be resigning from Jackson County effective June 3rd. I would ask the board to make a motion to accept David Dreyer's resignation effective June 3rd, 2022.
What if we say no?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We're not gonna
I
let
don't
him
think he's
leave
going
till we
to
have anyone
stay,
hired.
but yeah.
He probably won't really stay here.
Well, I think you're probably right, but
I would make that motion and thank him for his service and what he's done for the county.
a motion and a second to approve the resignation of David Dreyer. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And next is, we also have Mike Tracy, who has been a part-time janitor for Jackson County for about 1.5 years also. He's going to retire effective June 30th. So he had previously notified the maintenance supervisor. I am just here today to make it official and ask you to accept the retirement of Mike Tracy.
Motion to accept.
I would second again with thanking him for his service and hope he enjoyed his retirement.
A motion and a second to approve the resignation of Mike Tracy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
So we did discuss a little bit what direction to go to with the position. I have yet to have a chance to connect with maintenance on that. I'll try to catch him today. I did see that.
He's not here,
Oh, he's not. Okay.
I don't think.
Okay. I have yet to see him. And so maybe another work session is in order before we make any determinations on work on that.
So when's he quit?
The 16th, no, he should be here today.
Uh,
No,
June
here
this is-
today.
third, June 3rd will be his last day. Yeah. So we will still have Mike here in the mornings, Mike Reagan.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
He is not, he's here till 9:30 today.
I did try to call down to the office and that's probably why I didn't get him. So
I spoke, I didn't speak, but I had some messaging with him.
And he's gone all day to the 20th and 19th, 20th and 21st. And he's off today from 9:30 and tomorrow from 9:30 until 2.
Jasper will be in on one.
I'll get with him in the morning and I'll leave him a voicemail and get with him so that way we can possibly move forward with this on next weekend.
So you are unable to gather any information regarding public service as far as independent contractors?
I did reach out to Tina Vitas and did get some information from her today. There were some questions and concerns that came out of, she was in last week and did a tour of the facility just to kind of get an overall idea of what if we want to do. a
Well,
deep
just so we
clean
have an
and
idea.
effective. Yeah, yeah. So I just literally got that information from her this morning. She was having a little bit of technical difficulties with an email, so she did run it up here just a bit ago. So I did want to have a chance to connect with Marty on that.
Okay.
And didn't have the opportunity to do that, so I will do that and we'll be back. Hopefully he and I can.
So we're saying we're holding off for advertising or anything like that until we get some
Correct.
additional information.
Correct, yeah. Next, is information on the Iowa State Association of Counties. They currently offer group programs to members, including an accidental death and dismemberment program that Jackson County provides to their employees. Over the years, ISAC has just offered it to members. However, now they have formalized their group benefit program as an entity under the Iowa Insurance Division as required by law. So they will, the program itself will continue to be overseen by the ISAC Board of Directors, but we do need to have a 2080 agreement in place with ISAC in order to continue to provide that benefit to our employees. So it's an accidental death and dismemberment program that we didn't have another provider provide that coverage to our employees. We do have about 17 people enrolled in that program. So it's just my recommendation that we go ahead and approve the 2080 agreement with ISAC to continue to be enrolled in that group benefit program for that AD&D benefit.
So this does not change any of our enrollment as
It
did
doesn't
before,
change.
other than they put a.
It doesn't
2080
change
agreement
anything other
For
than the
legal
Iowa,
purpose or something?
right.
or-
The Iowa Insurance Division said that they needed to establish themselves as an entity to provide the group benefit. It was just under the umbrella of ISAC.
Mhm.
So now ISAC Group Benefits is a physical entity. They will have their own tax ID number. They'll give us a new W-9. So when we pay the bill, those kind of things, but it doesn't change anything as far as the structure of the program or the benefit that they provide.
I mean, I just basically scanned the 2080, but that was all formality.
It's pretty simple. It is,
Wait.
yeah. Yeah, it's just required by the insurance division. Well, like I said, it'll continue to be overseen by the ISAC Board of Directors, which it was before. This is just more of a formality. And I actually think Lisa maybe has a.
I do, I have the resolution. It's resolution number 895-05-17-2022.
So I would ask for a motion to approve the ISAC Group Benefit Program 2080 agreement.
Motion to approve.
I would second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did Shelley tell me she wants a copy signed as well as the resolution, or
I have that.
you have that as well?
Mhm.
Okay. Next. So next is our group health insurance renewal. So this year, our group insurance came in at 9.62%, which we discussed a little bit during the budget process. So each year, when they provide that renewal, they provide us several other benefit level option plans. We look at the alternate plans every year to determine the cost effectiveness between the premium of those plans, the pure premium that we pay for our fully funded plan through the trust, in relation to the sustainability and making changes to that plan with our partial self-funding. So this year we discussed it again, and we found it to be cost effective to increase our fully insured benefit level with Wellmark in exchange for reduced premiums to buy that policy and to continue to offer the same benefit level through our partial self-funding. So that would reduce our increase from 9.62 to 5.24% increase. And the employees will not see a change in their benefit level after the partial self-funding.
Okay.
So
So that will stay the same to the self-funding, to the same deductible as it was.
correct.
And what does the deductible go up to without the self-funding?
So we actually purchase a $5,000 single deductible right now. We'll purchase a $6,500 deductible.
Okay.
So the exposure is assumed by that partial self-funding.
1,500 per single and family.
And 3,000 per family.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so what we do is we look at the actual expense of the partial self-funding and they give us an actuarial figure of what they assume we're gonna spend based on claims trend and history. And we think we're well within sustaining the increased exposure.
So
to
do we
that.
have a pool or a fund for the self-funding that we,
A
so,
fund, correct,
Okay.
yep,
and that looks very healthy.
correct.
It's been
I-
managed very well.
Then I would make a motion to approve the insurance renewal as presented.
I would second, does our $20 deductible go up to 25 or not?
No, the co-pays and everything will stay the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just the deductible changed and it's self-funded back down to the original. Or the current.
The benefit the employee sees will not change, correct?
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the insurance renewal. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
So I will let the folks up at Cunningham Butler know that, and then I would also ask for a motion to authorize me, Becky Chapin, to sign the renewal paperwork and all required compliance paperwork upon receipt.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
And then no other action items, but just to let you know that we have reached out to Clinton County once again about providing interim engineering services. I have had a chance to visit with them. We're going to try to formalize things more over the next week, and hopefully he will have a contract approved by his board on Monday to present for us for recommendation. Of course, salaries and all that have changed a little bit since we used our services in the past, and I don't know what that number is going to be this time. So they're going to work through that this week, and then they'll get back with us on that next week. If we were to go that route with interim services through Clinton County, we would once again need to send a resolution to the DOT authorizing them to accept the farm to market funds on behalf of Jackson County, which is a formality that the DOT requires.
So are we ever going to approach the subject of him being, sharing him with Clinton County as our engineer?
So I did discuss that with him. He did have a conversation with his board. Right now, they would like to pursue the interim services and have that discussion. He's got a lot on his plate right now. He does do coaching on the side for a couple of teams within his school district, I assume. So they just kind of wanted to think about that a little bit more about what the commitment and the dedication would be. They don't want anybody to get burned out. So it was my understanding they were wanting us to go ahead and possibly advertise for the position and see what is drawn from that and go from there. I would recommend maybe possibly having a work session about that next week after they meet on Monday. So if we have their contract Monday, maybe we can have a work session on Tuesday and just discuss all of that further.
Still anything new on the applications for an assistant?
There was two, what I would consider viable candidates, both college students. One is actually not going to graduate until 2023. Those are the only two that they have received. I don't know what direction they want to go with those. One just came in yesterday.
Do we proceed with interviewing the other candidate, or do we? I mean, we're still running the ad, is that what we're doing?
It's only out on social media right now. So all of the physical print advertising has ceased. So it's on all the
When you say
national.
social media, it's all the state sites and the county sites and whatever, our
Right.
site.
Right. So we are no longer paying for advertising through the TH or the Des Moines Register or
KMAQ.
that. That's probably expired as well.
I heard the
It's on the job, it was on the job bank for weeks on end all the time. I think they were.
grader operator is on the job back.
Yeah. I mean, we can certainly put it back out there. I don't know that the outcome is gonna change. Definitely not the local papers.
Well, have you had an opportunity to look at the application that they have that
Yes,
is graduating now instead of next year?
yes.
Is it some that we would want to have interviewed?
In my opinion, yes. I will go see if I can get back in touch with David and Mike. I brought it up to Mike about a week or so ago. I just mentioned the possibility of getting them down here for an interview, and that has just been, it's unresolved at this point. I will walk over there when I'm done here and see what direction they want to go with that. I know we talked about, if we end up contracting with Clinton County, that would be maybe a direction maybe they would just want to assist us with in that.
Well, we certainly
Having
hope
his
the
input with
interim
that.
Yeah.
engineer would have a.
Depending on the outcome of the county engineer, it might change the direction that goes. I
Yeah.
guess is-
Well, I don't, I still think we're doing our due diligence by doing an interview and just seeing, he sure deserves he spent the time to put the application in, and then if he did think he deserves an interview, we should probably.
I agree. and He deserves an interview because my goodness, we haven't really had anybody up until now that we could even consider interviewing. And he's leaving in a couple weeks. So
Right. I mean, I guess the thing about it is the assistant is employed by the county engineer, so that's just kind of where what direction to go with that now, not the board, the county engineer, so.
Right.
So yeah, I get all the above, but I will see what,
Well, and again, if we do the interview, then I guess the new engineer or whoever it may be can say, well, we thought a viable candidate, or we interviewed this person, if you'd want to do a second interview, we can kind of, make a decision, maybe something, or then wouldn't be cumbersome to somebody else. Start to move forward a little bit, I don't know.
yeah, agreed.
So where are we at with GIS?
We're gonna have a discussion, we're gonna have a work session on that after the meeting today.
Okay.
I let Buck know that we kind of want to have the conversation with their department, so we'll be prepared to do that.
Okay, well, John Hanson is not coming, and we're gonna have Lynn come over and do hers because she can't come next week.
I'll call her.
And as soon as we're done with that, because we're not having as far as I know, we're not having a work session on the law enforcement center. John went back, and so that's done, so we have Lynn and then we're done.
Just call me.
Okay,
I'd say Buck is here this morning, so anytime should be fine with him.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
you want to call Lynn and tell her she'd come over anytime?
Good
We'll
morning.
recess.
I guess you can.
We'll reconvene the meeting, and we're being joined by Lynn Volps, our coordinator of services.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm just here to talk a little bit about a couple of meetings that happened yesterday within the mental health region. Jack and I attended both of them. One was the May monthly governing board meeting. And at that meeting, I would say a lot of it was kind of business as usual, but a lot of conversation about moving forward with transitioning to 100% state funding. David Farmer was not able to be there, but Lori gave the financial reports for the region. And she did not give specific amounts for the fund balance, but one thing we all know is that we are still sitting on a pretty good fund balance for the region as we look to end this fiscal year. There are some contracts that are still out to be signed, and once that happens, the state has afforded an opportunity for regions to apply to encumber some of those dollars that we have remaining in our fund balance and our bank account, if you will, at the end of the fiscal year, to be committed to be spent in the next fiscal year. And by doing that, then that is not considered a part of our available cash in our fund balance. And so it will be to our benefit that we get some of those contracts signed. And the application process is due to the Department of Human Services by July 21st. And it's my understanding that Lori said the DHS will inform the regions by August 31st of what their decisions are on those requests. The final fund balance figure won't even really be realized until after the December 1st reports are sent into the state. That's the data that the State Department of Management, DOM, is going to use to identify the percentage of fund balance and then determine how to move forward with funding for each of the 14 regions. And so while we didn't really talk about this in detail yesterday at the meeting, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to let the board know that Shelley and Lisa and I have talked a little bit about how we will begin transferring money to the region's fiscal agent fund. Just as a reminder, by June 30th, excuse me, that money needs to be transferred out of our county fund 10 into the region's fiscal agent. There are still a couple of questions to be answered definitively by Department of Management. The regions are waiting for a directive from Kerry Johnson from the DOM. Those conversations are more in relation to any revenue that will come in after June 30th. So I know that tax sale was one of the examples that was given, and then any delinquent taxes that might come in after the fiscal year. How will that money be sent back to the region? And is that what will need to happen with it? So when we do the next claims period this week, you will see it next Tuesday. There will likely be a claim in there for a $500,000 transfer, the beginning of our transfer of our funds to the fiscal agent. When I just talked to Shelley this morning, it looks like currently we have about $700,722. So not gonna transfer it all at once. Obviously, we still need some money in that fund to continue to pay claims, both next week and then in 2 weeks on June 10th. I think the way we talked about it, it's likely that the claim period that will be paid out on June 10th will be the last time that claims will be processed through Jackson County. Brianna in my office and myself will be working with getting our systems set up so that she will continue to process the claims within our database system, Community Services Network or CSN. But we'll only take them 2 steps into that process. Right now, it's about a 4 or 5 step process to actually get the claims ready to present to the board. She will take them about the first 2 steps, and then she will send them to Scott County, because Scott County's auditor's office will need to be processing all those payments, since all the money will be sitting in that fiscal agent fund. And then after June 10th, we'll have final conversations about how much money is left in our fund balance and, make sure we don't have any outstanding claims, and then transfer the remainder of that. The transfer needs to occur by June 30th.
And that goes back to the counties.
No,
No,
to the region.
from the county to the
To the
region's
region.
fiscal agent fund.
What happens do the regions retain that funds until the state, when they take it over, then what happens?
State isn't actually taking over that fund. Where the state is coming into this conversation is the state is providing.
This
the
was what the
revenue
meeting
into the
last night
fund.
was all about.
Oh. okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Told everything that was going on.
yeah, it was
And
unfortunate.
It's too bad you guys didn't come.
Yeah, that was the intent of that meeting was.
That was the
to
whole
kind of have
reason it
this
was set up. So
conversation.
all of the boards from all of the counties
Mhm.
could be at the meeting and hear what was gonna happen.
Yeah, so yeah, what was very clear last night was the state is providing the revenue to the regions, the money to the regions to operate. The state isn't taking over any responsibility for paying claims, managing that budget that's been approved, and monitoring the fund balances and things like that. That still remains the responsibility of the region's governing board. So the other thing that came to light last night for myself, I've been thinking about it, but just as a reminder, we all are aware that Jack will not be available to serve on that board after December 31st. It needs to be a active board of supervisor from the respective counties. And so it will obviously necessitate one of the 2 of you, or, the new person or whoever's on the board after the election to participate in these monthly meetings and have the information that Jack and I share on a monthly basis. I would intend to continue to come to the board as I have been up to this point, but so it is a process. We're right in the thick of it right now. The other thing that will come across your desk, when this is something else that Lori went over in detail last night, I believe you probably all have access to the PowerPoint that she used. Luann, Lori sent it out this morning to Luann, if you haven't
Yeah.
seen it before.
Yeah.
That serves as just a good overview of things like what are the core services, what are the additional core services that the regions have to provide? What is the state funding that is available to our region specifically in terms of how much per capita will the state be sending to us based on our population? That conversation went through fiscal year 25, I believe, in the PowerPoint.
Yep.
Beyond that, we have so many details to figure out between now and then that I don't think legislators either have gone beyond that, except for talking about things like maybe some kind of an allowable growth factor to that per diem rate, whatever they choose to do moving forward. So I would encourage everybody just to take a look at the PowerPoint. If you have any questions, let me know what it said or ask Jack. So that was kind of a summary of a little bit of the night meeting. Back to the monthly meeting, the board took action to approve a couple of 2080 agreements with providers that got one-time funding to increase peer support services. So MCSA out of Muscatine County will be adding some peer drop-in and also some respite beds, similar to what Rhonda's house has in DeWitt. And then Vera French will be adding on to an existing building, adding a second story to increase capacity for peer support services. peer support has become an area of particular interest and support from the state. So they're looking favorably on those regions that are investing some of their dollars into enhancing those services. If you remember, I mentioned previously that the region had given 300,000 to Life Connections out of DeWitt to enhance, enlarge their services, and so they will be moving to a different location come June 1st.
So I thought the whole idea of the peer support was a private setting other than an institution like Bureau of French or.
Peer support services are not as subject to the idea that they should be as integrated as employment services are or residential services where people live in homes and neighborhoods. Peer support is still more of a gathering. The concept behind peer support is obviously that if I have had experience with mental health concerns and then I receive some training on how to talk to others, I can be as successful in helping that person that's having a crisis or needing some support as can a mental health professional.
It's kind of like AA.
Yes, it
You
is.
know, you have a sponsor and you work with that sponsor and they get you through difficult times. It's the same thing with the peer group. The people that work at peer all have had some kind of mental health issue.
Mhm.
And so they then come in and work with those individuals as their partner. That's the
Mhm.
easiest way for me to explain it.
Yeah, I agree. And if you, in the news, just in the last couple of months, you'll hear that idea of peer support in other areas. High suicide rate amongst veterinarians. And this is nationwide, not locally, but so they have developed a peer support network of veterinarians to support one another. Certainly the medical industry and nurses also are experiencing higher rates of suicide and mental health related concerns due to the stress of working through the COVID years. So there are nursing supports now that are called peer support nursing services. It's a model that is being applied to a number of different disciplines. But yes, I would agree with Jack. That's probably the best way to explain it for all of us to understand. So these programs, Life Connections and DeWitt, for example, they do not have anybody on their staff that is on their staff as a mental health professional. They are not working under the supervision or the guidance of mental health professionals. They have been trained within peer support to do those things. I guess the other conversation that at the governing board meeting had to do with intensive residential service homes, or IRSH for short. It's a service that every region has to have available to them. It's kind of really risen to the top of the discussion right now because it is the type of service that the state is looking at needing to really get into place due to the state's decision to close Glenwood Resource Center. If you remember, that decision was made in response to a Federal Department of Justice investigation that went on over the past couple of years. And it was felt that, first of all, the emphasis from the feds on down is to have people, regardless of the level of their disability, live in the community. And so then some of the corrective action plan that the feds were asking the state to do to right the ship, if you will, of Glenwood, it was more difficult than the state felt it would be to establish a number of these individual homes for some of the current residents. Lori said there were about 150 of them at Glenwood that will be moving into the community within the next year. So these IRSH homes would be a more highly trained staff to work with a more challenging population. And the region will be meeting with some providers within our 5 counties to see if there's any providers that are of interest to do this. The cost per day for these services can be very expensive. Somewhere it could be between $700-800 to $1,000 a day. Some of that will be covered by Medicaid, but some of it will fall upon the region to fund under what they're calling an access fee. Because there are supports that are needed to keep the staff trained, to have the necessary things in place for these people to successfully live in smaller homes. They may have medically fragile needs. They might have levels of behaviors that are very difficult for some of the current community-based homes to be able to manage. So stay tuned. We may be seeing some significant cost come about as a result of that.
And I asked Lori if she knew how many from our region were out at the present time at Glenwood. And she wasn't really sure, but she said she knows there's some.
I don't believe that there is anyone who originated from Jackson County who's there. In the case management days, I knew there was an individual who lived at Woodward. But that facility is not affected by this decision of the state to close Glenwood, except that they will be taking 5 or 6 of the residents from Glenwood. So yeah,
So it was more expensive at Glenwood than it would be at these homes? Is that why they're closing it?
no, I
No,
think
there
some
was-
of the
there-
infractions were so serious.
A lot of it was they couldn't get the types of employees they needed to provide with the credentials that they needed, and that was part of it. There was other things too.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I have not gone to look for it, but I think the DOJ report is on the website for
It
DHS.
is, it is.
So that might be interesting reading to get a better idea of what the complexity was of the needs that the state was gonna have to correct in order for the feds to give it their blessing that things were in the shape they needed to be. So. I think that's about it from the governing board meeting, and we kind of covered a lot of the discussion from last night's meeting. I think there were about 13 or 14 supervisors there all together. There were several that were on Zoom. And I appreciate the fact that Lisa and Shelley came down for that as well, because some of this obviously involves the transaction of the funds to the state and things like that.
I was surprised there was only one other auditor that came, the one, well, didn't come, but zoomed in from Cedar County. But the rest of them.
Oh, I didn't see Carrie zoom
Huh?
in. I didn't see Carrie zoom in. I thought maybe it was one of the budget people that zoomed in. I didn't see Carrie.
Oh,
from-
maybe.
Yeah.
I know they said what they were, and they said they were from Cedar County, but
I didn't, yeah, the screen was to my back, so I'm not sure who was there. I remember before I sat down, Nick was there from Clinton County
Yes,
as well.
He's their budget director.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we kind of covered the important points from that meeting as well. The key is just for the auditor's office is to get that DOM letter from Kerry Johnson to give them guidance on how to manage that. Anything else that the two of you think of from the night meeting?
So the MOU that was sent to us today.
Oh, yes.
Has the board
Thank you.
looked at that at all, or?
No, thanks for mentioning that. Another part of what Lori went over last night was an MOU that has been sent out this morning to all the boards and supervisors. I forwarded it to Luann here before I came over. This is the MOU that discusses the reimbursement back to the counties for the expenses that the county will still continue to incur on a regular basis to maintain positions like the one that I have as a county employee. So all the coordinators of disability services will remain county employees. Anybody involved in supporting them in the health system, some of the larger counties have a social worker type position. They will all remain county of record employees of their respective counties. And then any cost associated with doing services out of Jackson County will be reimbursed on a quarterly basis from the region's fiscal agent fund back to the county. The MOU addresses that process. Talks a
it
little
covers
bit
salary, benefits, or IPERS, which is a benefit,
training
training and administrative
cost,
costs.
yes. Mhm.
And then also they told us last night that they, like, I can't think of her name, the assistant that over in your office.
Oh, Brianna.
Brianna.
Mhm.
Anyway, her and Lynn will both have to do a time study of how much time they spent, and that's required by the Department of Human Services, and so that they know nobody's getting more than they should, I guess. And then that will They say that in the fall you'll do. that?
Yeah, Lori's intention was, the MOU discusses, I think specifically to be done in October. And the idea behind that timing was that way we have that information as we prepare budgets. The region's budget every fiscal year. So for example, if somebody who's less than full-time, if that percentage of time they actually do work for the region is more or less than what's currently being allocated, an adjustment can be made for that next fiscal year.
Just like Felicia from Muscatine County, she also does general
Yes.
assistance. So they have to decide how much time they're spending with each of those other things.
Yeah, I think maybe Clinton County's person in this position is 100% to the region as well. Otherwise, the other three coordinators of disability services, including Lori, are a percentage to the region for the work that they do, and then there's a percentage that remains doing county business for them.
So do they set any kind of parameters that per incident or per case or per population to say, I would guess in the future they'd set something like that to say, yeah, I don't know, how could you say how many cases you're gonna have?
Oh, you don't, it's just the time that you work on. I mean, like Lynn, she's 100%.
Right.
And I don't know, I think you said 20 or 25% for.
Actually, it's like 35 right now.
Okay.
Brianna is, she's 30 hours a week, she's half-time VA, she's like
Mhm.
34%. Mental health, and I think the 16% is Becky for general assistance. So that, she's a good example of when the time study comes out, we'll see, is that actually how her money, how her time is distributed? Especially with her, getting more training in the area of the VA, which I think is very beneficial. My counterpart in Cedar County is only part to the region, but she also has 2 other staff in her office. Not support staff necessarily in a front office, but doing actual social work service coordination stuff. So that's why Julie's not 100% to the region. She's their HIPAA coordinator for Cedar County and does some other things through GA as well. So every county is set up a little bit differently. Going into this MOU is for 1 year. It's a good time to kind of evaluate, does this MOU meet the needs of the counties? And it'll also be a good time, if counties individually want to make any changes in the structure of the staff that they have doing work for the region. But at this point, it's never been the expressed intent that I have heard from the governing board or from Lori as the CEO that there is any intent moving forward that the region all of a sudden would step in and start challenging counties on how they're choosing to provide the service. The time study is merely just a way to substantiate to the state that, yes, the people that are getting paid out of those state dollars for mental health services is actually being used for mental health time spent.
They're only being paid for the time that they're being used for mental health.
Right. Yeah. So there was a little discussion about, salaries and things like that. At this point, all of those things are still set individually by the counties. Anything else from that?
John Bell is gonna raise his persons to the same thing that they gave the sheriff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what he told us.
Yeah, I'm sure Julie wouldn't argue.
No, I'm sure she wouldn't, nor would you.
No, not at all. So anything else that you guys can think of from those meetings, either one of them, that I might have missed?
I don't think so.
Any questions?
Good, it was a good meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it served its purpose to inform everybody kind of, it was a good review of what Senate File 619 actually said is gonna happen with the funding source switching from county property taxes to state funding. So good overview of that, a reminder, and then it got into some of the practical application and what's the process gonna be to get to that moving forward. Okay, yep, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, is there any other business to come before our meeting today? Was Becky coming back down?
Yes.
Okay, So that's for work session. If there's no further business,
Make a motion to adjourn.
motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye, motion carried.